And so it begins. We are officially on to episode number 3 of ranking the top 50 baseball players going into 2020. If you missed episodes 1 and 2, this is a full series. It's going to be in a playlist, so do not miss that. Make sure you guys are fully caught up. But today, it's going to be the 30th through the 21st best baseball players, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this was extremely tough. So if you disagree or agree, I'm honestly not gonna be shocked because even I'm having some issues with this. These were the players that I got wrong according to the comment sections. I think that Charlie Morton was supposed to be a little bit higher, as well as Josh Donaldson and Ketel Marte. But aside from that, we're gonna go ahead and jump into episode number 3, 30 to 21. Let's see how this goes. You guys might be surprised to hear the name of the first player on our list. At number 30, I will be choosing Kris Bryant. Yes, I will be choosing a Las Vegas boy, not in the top 10. You guys know that I can be biased sometimes, but I'm trying to take all of the bias out of this list. And one more thing, we are talking about value, okay? So we're talking about power, speed, defense, everything included goes into this list. And that's why Kris Bryant, even though he's an absolute savage inside the batter's box, one of the best offensive third basemen in the game, he's always going to rake. Although his RBI numbers have dropped significantly the last couple seasons, ever since 2016 when he topped out at 102. In 2019, he had 77, so I don't know what's going on with his run production, but he's going to rake. He's going to hit you 30-plus home runs. The biggest reason why is what I just alluded to, value. His value is not at his highest right now because his defense in 2019 was average, if not below average. Definitely not going to be a top 10 defensive outfielder or third baseman, whatever position he decides to play. Yes, he's versatile. That's something that I do take into account, but efficiency on the defensive side, not there. And to be honest with you guys, if we take a look at episode number 2, I think that you could almost flip-flop Josh Donaldson and Kris Bryant, and maybe you guys would be happy, or even Ketel Marte and Kris Bryant. Who do you guys think is better? Coming in just ahead of Kris Bryant, this one was a toss-up for me because Kris Bryant is a much better hitter, but our number 29 guy, Ozzie Albies, is a more complete player, and that's why I am going to put him on a little bit higher than Bryant. It's really hard at this point, and I want you guys to understand that this list took me so long, and I'm still having trouble with it. But Ozzie Albies, I think that you do have to put him in the top 30 considering he led the National League with 189 base hits. He tacked on 24 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and the reason why he is higher than Kris Bryant is because, again, the offense is there, maybe not as prolific as Kris Bryant, but his defense, he was third in a new stat that I want to bring up called DRS, defensive runs saves. He had an 8 DRS in 2019 compared to Kris Bryant's negative DRS, and for me, that just makes sense. This is a list about value, and if Ozzie Albies can bring on the offensive side and defensive side, as well as even have more speed, that makes sense, right? He's better than Kris Bryant. Maybe that's blasphemy because Kris Bryant is a former MVP, but he hasn't really replicated that success, so Albies just a little bit ahead, at least in my opinion. Rafael Devers exploded last season. I don't know if you guys know, but he led the American League with 54 doubles. I did not know until I did my research that he had that many extra bags. He led the entire league with 359 total bases, and he also had a 916 OPS. Those offensive numbers are unreal, so you would think, Fuzzy, why is he number 28th on today's list? And that's because of defense. Rafael Devers suffers from the same fate as Kris Bryant. If we're talking about the best baseball players, you have to factor in everything. So on one side, you have Devers leading the American League in total bases, but on the other side, you have a -6 defensive run saves. The average baseball player has a 0 DRS. So when you have a -6, you are below average. You are not you're kind of a liability over there in the infield. Actually, in 2018, there were a lot of questions of if he was going to be a Miguel Andujar type of player, where the offense is going to carry him, but then maybe they take him out towards the end of the games and save on the defensive side. Is that going to happen? Probably not. I think that he does get better, just like his buddy Xander Bogaerts, who will be on this list. Where is he going to rank? Who knows? But that is going to be my ranking for today. So far, we have Kris Bryant, Ozzie Albies, and Rafael Devers. Am I wrong? Let me know. I'm looking at this list right now, and I'm seeing the name JT Realmuto, and everything inside of me is saying that he should be higher up on this list, but the fact is he's a catcher, and he's great at doing that, but I do not think that he is better than someone like Jose Altuve. I don't think that he's better than Francisco Lindor. His value is high because he does this as a catcher, but he is not the best baseball player in the world. Let's get that straight. Now, with that being said, I do have to give this man some props because he is the fastest catcher in baseball. He had 25 home runs in 2019, and he was second in defensive run saves as a catcher. Let's say that we were making a top 10 catchers video, something like Giraffe Neck Mark, he would be number 1. I haven't even watched that video, but I'm 99% sure that Mark put him at the number 1 spot, and it's easy to say why. I just can't put him ahead of other guys on this list. I'm not trying to be a full-out hater, but again, value is everything. 25 home runs is great. Being a fast catcher is great. Defense is there. he's just not better than any of the guys on this list, in my opinion. So to piggyback off that, yes, this might shock you guys, but I would take Steven Strasburg over JT Realmuto, and the biggest reason why is because Steven Strasburg is going to pitch his best in the biggest games. Last season, he did end with a 3.32 ERA, but just the fact that he got even better as the year progressed, and then if we factor in the playoffs, which I really don't like to do, but I think that you have to do it. In the second half, he was great. In the playoffs, he was great, so he's getting better and better and better with age. He led the National League in wins and innings pitched, and he also had 251 strikeouts. Steven Strasburg, I mean, I'll take that guy in any game, anytime, anywhere, and I have a good chance of winning. JT Realmuto, yes, he's great, but honestly, I don't think that he has the impact of Steven. This is where I might lose some of you, but I am sticking with my guns. Pete Alonso is the 25th best baseball player going into 2020, and I am going to stamp that one more time with my name. I am saying it. He is the 25th baseball player. Yes, he struck out 183 times, and he is not the best defensive third baseman. In fact, he's probably in the bottom tier of defensive first basemen in baseball. I don't care, though. He set a rookie record with 53 home runs. The first time he ever saw live Major League Baseball pitching, this man set a Major League Baseball record. The baseballs are juiced. You can give me that conversation all you want. There's something special about Big Meat Pete Alonso. I think he's going to get even better. He might not hit 53 home runs, but I think that his batting average is going to increase, and I think that he is going to work severely on his defense. He prides himself in being the best baseball player that he can be. If you do not follow Pete Alonso on Twitter, I suggest that you do, because sometimes he comes out with little nuggets of just wisdom and encouragement, and sometimes he claps back at people, which is awesome. His defense, in my opinion, will improve, and with that, he is going to skyrocket in 2020. I think that he is going to have a career year. I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited. Marcus Semien is officially the most underrated player in Major League Baseball going into 2020. He finished third in the American League MVP awards, just behind people like Mike Trout and Alex Bregman. And the idea that he is still being disrespected just because he plays for the A's and his name is Marcus Semien, people know that his track record has been, he's a decent shortstop, but he's been very middle of the road, maybe a top 15, 20 shortstops at best, which means that he might not even be a top 100 baseball player. But in 2019, he really did flip the script. He exploded for an 8.1 WAR. I want to go ahead and bring up the WAR stat one time in this video because that is insane. Not very many people in baseball history can just break out of nowhere after being subpar and then have an 8.1 WAR. He was great on offense, he was great on defense. Now the only thing is, would you take Marcus Semien over someone like Xander Bogaerts, Jose Altuve, Juan Soto, even someone like Francisco Lindor? I don't think that you would, so I do want to see him repeat it in 2020, and if he does, I can promise you that if we do the same series 1 year from now, Marcus Semien could end up being a top 15, maybe even a top 10 baseball player if he can repeat. But there's absolutely no shame in saying that he is the 24th best baseball player in the entire world. Do you guys understand the percentile of human beings that are in the top 24 of anything? Marcus Semien, he's definitely in there. Jose Altuve is one of the best second basemen in baseball, but that doesn't mean that he is going to be higher up on this list. Is that blasphemy? You guys might sound like Stephen A. Smith in the comment section down below. Blasphemy. Jose Altuve, he raked with 31 home runs and a 902 OPS as a 5.5 second baseman. I'll give him his props. I love him. He is one of my favorite players in baseball, but the fact is he played in 122 games. His durability has been in question a little bit lately, so I'm putting him a little bit lower on this list because I don't know what I'm going to get from him in 2020, especially on the defensive side. Do you guys know that his defense continues to slip? Last season in 2019, he ended with a -2 defensive run saves. He's going to get you a few runs. I understand that. Just ask Aroldis Chapman. It's just kind of hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that he missed almost 30 games in 2018. He missed almost 40 games in 2019. I understand that he is Jose Altuve. He's won a Gold Glove. He's been in the MVP race a couple different times throughout his career. His defense is slipping though, and when you have guys like DJ LeMahieu and Xander Bogaerts making a statement in 2019, can't really fault me for putting those guys ahead of him. So that's where Jose Altuve lies. Right here. Coming in at the number 22 spot, honestly, if you guys have his connection, whether it's a training program or the hospital that he was born in, I need to know how this kid was brought up, because Juan Soto did things at 20 and 21 years old that we might not ever see again. Do you guys understand that? I want to put it into perspective how good Soto is at such a young age. I'm going to go ahead and read off his stats right now. Juan Soto at 20 years old had 34 home runs, 110 RBIs, a 949 OPS, and the one thing I do want to note as well is a 0 DRS. We've talked about this. A 0 DRS is an average defender. He had a 1 DRS, so it's not like he was Kevin Kiermaier or Cody Bellinger out in the outfield, but he was good. So that's why he is going to be just ahead of Jose Altuve. In my opinion, Juan Soto is the better offensive player and the better defensive player. Maybe Jose Altuve has him at the speed department, but either way, in my opinion, there's no beating it. Juan Soto is going to get better and better and better. He's the number 22 guy. So who's going to be at number 21, our final player on today's list? If there was a list of the most exciting baseball players, you might have Javier Baez at the number 1 spot, maybe just behind Francisco Lindor or Juan Soto. I think that they're all super exciting. But in terms of best players, I'm going to leave him out of the top 20. Yes, it's kind of weird for me to say that, but that's how I feel. Javier Baez had his first breakout season in 2018, and that earned him second place in the National League MVP race. So he was really good, and I'm not sure if that got to his head. Maybe the pressure of trying to be the best shortstop in baseball got to him, or even being on the cover of MLB The Show 20 and not being able to tell anyone. His WAR dropped from 6.3 to 4.8, and luckily his defense was amazing. I think he was second or third in DRS for all of baseball at the shortstop position. His home run count was still pretty solid. He had 29 in 138 games. But his stolen base percentage was down, his caught stealing percentage was up, and his strikeouts, 156 strikeouts to 28 walks. How can you not want to improve that? I'm hoping that he does in 2020, because if he does, he's going to be even better than Francisco Lindor, in my opinion, because those strikeouts are killing him. His defense is better than Lindor. It was. Look at the stats. He was third, higher than Lindor. But the 847 OPS, almost a 40-point drop from 2018, I think that he did regress, and that is why he is just being left outside the top 20. And that's going to do it for today's video. I hope that you guys are enjoying so far. If you agree or disagree, please let me know, because this has been the hardest endeavor of my YouTube career by far. This list took me forever, a couple weeks, and I'm still tweaking it. Let me know, guys. Episode number 4 is coming up next. The top 20 players. Let's get it.